Is there actually no one else here?
Strange. Everything here is working fine.
What are you...
Trying to figure out what's going on. Considering that we can't get out of here, we need to do something other than just sitting around.
Providence, huh? Wait, what's that file? Aliens?
Wait a minute.
Aren't those the aliens from the Ben 10 realm we were just at? How are they...
I remember having a conversation with Paradox once that Ben went to another realm where nanites were inside every living thing, and they could turn the living things into monsters. This must be that dimension.
That would explain how they have the pictures of the aliens here. Wait, so if he left, is it safe to assume he went back?
Yeah, he went back, but how are these realms connected at all?
Someone could have found out how to go to other dimensions like you said.
That doesn't explain why we got sent here and can't go out.
Maybe Ben carried nanites from here to there, and you being near some of those nanites caused whatever signal to be caught by you?
You really don't sound sure about that.
Well, it's not like I actually understand most of the things that are here. All this stuff with aliens, and now we have all the nanites. And somehow both of those are connected now.
Whatever. Let me just figure out how to get us out of here.
Generator Rex, a cartoon about a boy with a lost past named Rex, who has the ability to control nanites within his body and uses them with the help of Providence to fight and cure EVOs, mutated monsters created by the activation of nanites inside them, all created by the nanite event. Now I tried my best to summarize the show, but trust me, there is so much more that I have not mentioned. Regardless, this show with its great fight scenes, music, and characters was awesome. Unfortunately, during my childhood, I didn't pay much attention to it. I had Ben 10 during that time, and ironically enough, they had a crossover at one point. Ben 10 / Generator Rex Heroes United, which was also really cool. Though I didn't watch the show when I was younger, I decided to watch every episode of the show recently before doing this review so that I had a full idea of what could be brought into this game. All the while, I tried to keep my hopes up that this game was going to be good, considering the amount of time I spent watching the entire show. But today, we're going to be looking at Generator Rex Agent of Providence to see if my build up to playing the game was worth it. Apparently, this game takes place in a different continuity compared to the original material, or at least some facts about it are different. It takes place during Season 2, but before Season 3, given that Caesar is in this game, Rex has his Omega builds, and Black Knight is not in the game. It's essentially an alternate dimension. What are you looking at me like that for? Instead of the Omega 1 nanite being inside of Rex, it hasn't been made, and you are trying to get blueprint pieces for the nanites so that Van Clyce can't get them and become stronger. This story is okay. However, I feel the main problem with it is the immense lack of proper character usage. Rex is fine having a spotlight since he's the main character, but other main characters that had a big influence in the original story in a lot of points, like Six, Dr. Holiday, and Bobo, okay, Bobo not as much, but everyone else hardly have a role in this game, other than telling you what to do or getting captured, making them feel insignificant to the entire game, and makes them look weaker than they actually are. You don't fight alongside any of them aside from Bobo for one level, which I'm just barely counting. And side characters like Noah, Rex's old gang in Hong Kong, and some villains like Hunter Kane, No-Face, Gatlock, and Zagar S don't make any kind of appearance. Even Scalamander doesn't show up for some reason, even though he's a part of Van Clyce's pack. Since the continuity isn't the same, what exactly is stopping these characters from appearing to get in the way or to help Rex out? And some of the villains literally just want to kill Rex, so even a random appearance would still make some kind of sense. Instead, we have a short game of just over 2 hours with the incredibly oh so important Evo Bunny being used for 2 boss fights. At least it mentions Alpha, which in the show later has a connection with the crossover I mentioned earlier, but there's so much wasted potential when it comes to the characters. Everyone looks super ugly in any cutscene involving CGI. No one looks good in the CGI. Not Rex, not Van Clyce, not Six, not Cersei, and especially not Bobo. Look at how they massacred my boy! The worst part is, I can't even chalk this up to art style design because I can't really tell what they were trying to go for. It's like some people wanted to make it more realistic looking while others wanted to stick to the style of the cartoon, so they tried to compromise, and it ended up looking like a horribly made CGI movie from the late 90s to early 2000s. And this game was released in late 2011. That is really bad. It all just looks way creepier than intended. In-game cutscenes I'm using very loosely aren't any better, as they really look like nothing is going on and the characters just stand there instead of any actual animation or styling for the cutscenes. There's also no subtitles for these, so it's even more boring to watch and easy to stop paying attention to. And now, the frame rate. Oh my goodness, the frame rate's awful. And I'm talking about multiple versions of this game. Now, why do I know this? Because I originally bought the Wii version, which looked worse than the PS3 version in terms of visual quality. And the frame rate in the Wii version was so bad and inconsistent that as soon as I saw a PS3 version available in a local store, I instantly got that one and played it for the review, making this the only game so far that I have purchased multiple versions for. And right now, that's not a good thing. And unfortunately, the frame rate is still a thing in the PS3 version, but it's not nearly as bad as the Wii version, and it at least still looks better. The music is similar to the show, which does make sense since the music is composed by the same person who did it for the show. It's only slightly inferior, as some tracks from the show are godlike, but other than that, there's not much to say about it. If you've watched the show, then you've heard this game's soundtrack. Also, every character has the same people voicing them from the cartoon, aside from two, Quarry and Surge, who were originally voiced by Mark Hamill and Matthew Lillard. And in case you don't know who those are, for some reason, Luke Skywalker and Shaggy. You can probably imagine why it would be difficult to get them back. You must go to different parts of the post-nanite event world while defeating EVOs in your way. To do so, you have 3 of Rex's standard builds at your disposal. The smack hands and the big fat sword are used for close range. I'm not even kidding, it's actually called Big Fat Sword. You also have a slam cannon for enemies at a long distance, or close if you feel like it. If you can spam fast enough, it almost doesn't matter. Each of these have light and heavy attacks, aside from the cannon. You have shoot and smack in that case. By doing combos, you build up energy for Omega builds, which will automatically unlock throughout the game. The 3 you get are Funchucks, Blastcaster, and Bad Axes.
Oh my god, he just swore. YouTube demonetized this man.
Okay, believe it or not, it's called Bad Axes. I don't like the names for these weapons either. The Omega builds are used for dealing massive amounts of damage over time, and for some bosses, it's the only way of dealing damage to them. Of course, you can block and dodge out of the way of enemy attacks. Some areas of the game allow you to activate your Punk Busters, basically mechanical legs. Here you're able to kick and stomp on top of enemies and are able to jump higher. For one level, and yes, one singular level, you can use Rex Ride, dodging obstacles in front of you and have Bobo shoot at enemies in front of you. You can also collect 2 types of nanites by either defeating enemies or opening up chests. Green nanites give you health, and blue nanites are Revolution nanites, which are used for upgrades which you can give yourself whenever you want. The upgrades you can get are increases to health and Omega energy and abilities for your weapons. Dr. Holiday also gives you a side task to collect EVO samples, which are also gotten by beating enemies. These samples give you information about the EVO, mainly how to beat them. There are also some objects hidden around levels that are from Rex's past. By finding them, they will be put into his room. If you talk to Six, you can replay missions and try to beat his times for a reward. Whatever it is, I didn't bother with this. The gameplay is fluid, but that's probably only because I played the PS3 version where the frame rate wasn't nearly as garbage. And that's it. And I'm being really generous putting that statement here. There are a lot of areas in this game where you are forced to walk for no reason. It's not like all of them have characters talking to you during them, and even if they all did, it doesn't make sense for you to walk during these because characters talk to you in other areas where you can move just fine. So why do this, especially as often as it is? It's pointless and just consumes time, and given how short this game is, it feels like it's done to pad out the game, which even then it miserably fails to do, since like I said before, this game is slightly over 2 hours. Jumping is so bad in this game. I can understand a game being grounded, and that's fine, but jumping is almost useless in every situation possible due to Rex having little to no time in the air. It's terrible for combat because it can't be used to dodge attacks at all. I guess that's okay since you have a block and a dodge, which for the dodge it does leave you really vulnerable by the way. But even then, it would also feel really cool to be able to jump out of the way of enemy attacks and then counter them, but you're not able to do that. And then there's the platforming. If you're going to have platforming, make jumping at least decent, because when your jump barely goes 2 inches forward, and you also have to deal with frame rate issues, falling into tiny pits that instantly kill you becomes way easier than it should be. Basically, if the jump is not completely vertical, it sucks. Combat and build uses in general is horrible. For one, this game would work a lot better if it was similar to a Devil May Cry or Bayonetta game where you could change between a large variety of weapons and use them whenever you want. However, you don't really use the full potential of Rex's arsenal. He only uses his jetpack for transition between some areas, which is fine. I feel like a flying segment in this game would suck anyways. He only uses his bike once in the game, which is completely unacceptable. He only has 3 standard weapons that he can use whenever, instead of being able to use 8, and I'm being generous with that, which would add a lot of variety for weapons, attacks, and enemy design. And the Omega builds don't even work how they do in the show, needing this much energy to use them. In the show, he can just use them whenever he wants to. Now, for the 3 standard weapons, you are hardly able to upgrade them at all. You can upgrade your combo from 3 hits straight to 5, and have 1 alternate attack. That is all you get when it comes to combos, and that barely changes the game. Being able to upgrade your combos in a grander way would work out much better, considering that having a good combo count is a big part towards your Omega builds and seems to be a major mechanic for this game. And speaking of the standard weapons, the slam cannon is fine and is probably the most balanced weapon in the game. But there's not really any reason to use the fist over the sword, since the sword can do everything the fist can, but faster. And the sword is supposedly weaker than the fist, but the damage difference is so minuscule that you won't even notice that there is a difference. Most of the weapons have a lot of potential that isn't fulfilled. You could grab and throw enemies or objects with the smack hands, latch onto enemies and pull yourself closer to enemies with the blast caster or give them a shock, have an energy attack for the fun chucks, and actually get to use the punk busters whenever you want and have more bike missions. Also, I had times where my attacks would just randomly miss for no reason whatsoever, and to be honest, I don't really know why. On top of that, getting back the meter for using Omega builds is really easy if you abuse block cancelling on your heavy attacks. Heavy attacks are supposed to leave you vulnerable because they have a lot of startup and a lot of in lag. But you can block any time during this attack, meaning you can cancel the animation and start up another heavy attack before the enemy you're hitting has any time to react. And when you're in the startup for this animation, the time that should run out before you get in another hit for your combo doesn't run out. Due to how large your attacks are, you can hit multiple enemies doing this and fill up the gauge really quickly. This also makes the upgrade for the fist and sword that allows you to continuously do heavy attacks useless, since you can do that without the upgrade. So that's less upgrades that you need to care about. The camera is bad sometimes. Due to the fact that the camera can only be angled one way along this track, is dependent on the area you're in. If the area is wide open, usually it's fine, but if it's in a tight corridor or in a small room, you'll be trying to fight the camera as much as the EVOs, because some EVOs will also be off screen, so you can't see what they're doing, and some of them also have projectiles, so yeah, that's an issue. More often than not, the camera is fine, and some rooms where it's bad is also dependent on the player's position in the area as well, which keeps it from being in the bad segment. The game UI can get stuck on screen for cutscenes. This is a really rare occurrence and probably won't happen to you, but I figure I mentioned it since it did end up happening. If you're new to this channel, I can always find glitches in video games. Trust me, I've found way too many. Goodness, this game is so upsetting to me. There's so much potential that Generator Rex had for a really good game, but this dropped the ball in so many areas and hardly utilized the potential in any effective way. There's no reason to play this game at all. You want a good story with actual existing characters? Watch the show. You want an art style that doesn't scare you while you look at it? Watch the show. You want cool action? watch the show. The only similar thing between the game and the show is the music. And if you want the music, you can go on YouTube or watch the show. It's such a shame that an A-tier cartoon got treated this way.
Huh?
What is it?
There's human DNA.
Oh. So?
I think I might know what to do to get us out. Do you remember that conversation with Paradox I brought up? You also talked about some kid named Rex who could control nanites and save the world using those powers. He was part human. If I become part human, then maybe I'll have control over my powers again.
Well, I've got no idea how this stuff works, so you just do that and we'll hope for the best. It worked.
It really did. I've got a body again. Anyways, I can take more alien samples since Providence seems to have some, and I can look more into those as well as the samples that Paradox gave me.
But can you get us home? That's the most important thing. Can you get us home?
Only one way to find out, I guess. Alright, it worked!
Thank goodness, I thought we'd be stuck there. But what about this thing? Isn't it still going to send me back there if I use it?
I'll try and fix that. For now, you just try to relax. Today has been stressful enough for both of us.
What's going on, my fellow residents? It's me, TheFrozenCavern, and thank you guys for making it to the end of this video. In the past, for some of my Ben 10 videos, I did mention that I was going to be doing a video that was connected to Ben 10, and that ended up being Generator Rex. So to you guys that actually knew that, congrats. But to those of you that didn't, watch Generator Rex. Really good show, like I said. But anyways, this is probably the most disappointing game I've played, mainly because, again, I spent a lot of time watching the show, and for the game to end up being as bad as it is, really sucks. There's just so much potential that this game had, and it flopped horribly. But regardless, make sure you go into the description because that's where all of my social medias are located. My Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Discord are all there, and they are all ways of making sure whenever I upload another video, have updates for the channel, or even if you just want to talk to me, I guess, you can do it through there. But if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more, as well as share this video out with your friends and family. But until next video, take care.